Some people never write the book, launch the business, or say yes to God's call because they're waiting for perfect. Yet here's the crazy part: perfection is a myth. While you're polishing your life for an imaginary finish line, you could already be living the story God called you to write. Today, we're going to dismantle the lie that you have to be flawless before you begin, and I'll show you the surprising reason good enough is exactly what God can work with best. By the end, you'll have one simple habit you can start today. Ever notice how "I'm just not ready yet" can quietly turn into years of thinking about something instead of actually doing it? It's sneaky. You convince yourself you're being wise, just waiting for the right moment, and before you know it, the idea that once made your heart race is sitting in the back of your mind, gathering dust. A big part of this comes from a belief most of us never question, that you have to be flawless before you can start. It's like thinking you can't walk into the gym until you're already fit, or you can't share your writing until it could win an award. It sounds responsible. But psychologists often describe perfectionism as procrastination disguised as prudence. It keeps you safe by keeping you stuck. Here's the part that catches so many of us off guard. That belief doesn't just delay you, it can quietly smother your dream. Marketing coach Marie Forleo tells the story of her very first live workshop. Only 5 people showed up. 2 of them were her parents, and 1 was her yoga teacher. She felt embarrassed. Yet that tiny, imperfect beginning became the seedbed for a business that would reach millions. If she had waited until she had a full room, she might never have started at all. The truth is, as Romans teaches, we all fall short, and still God works through us. There's no small print that says, once they've got it all together. The heart of the faith story is God using ordinary, imperfect people to do meaningful work. And if you look at voices outside a faith lens, the advice often echoes the same thing. Marie Forleo herself says, start before you're ready, because momentum matters more than having everything figured out. We think perfection is a shield, but it's really a cage. The cost of waiting is higher than it seems. Opportunities pass. Your motivation fades with each day of overthinking, and starting later feels riskier because now you think your first step has to make up for all the time you've lost. That spiral just makes it harder to move. What breaks that spiral is understanding that good enough is plenty to get going. When you accept that your first attempt will be rough, and that's normal, you remove the pressure that's been holding you back. In fact, starting from that simple, imperfect place makes learning and adjusting possible while you're already in motion. You don't need to predict every mistake before you even begin. Letting go of the perfection myth frees you to act in the real world instead of waiting in your head, which naturally leads to the next step. If flawless isn't the requirement, what makes good enough so powerful? Think about the last time you nearly talked yourself out of doing something because you felt unprepared. Maybe you thought you needed more information or your skills weren't up to par, but you took the step anyway, and it turned out better than you expected. That's the moment that reminds you. Action often outpaces preparation. As Marie Forleo likes to say, start before you're ready, and even start small and sucky, because early imperfect action is what builds the experience you can't get by planning alone. Shifting from "I need to be perfect" to "I just need to make progress" is a bigger change than it sounds. It's giving yourself permission to step in with what you have, instead of waiting until every detail is solved. Most of the real progress happens precisely because you're moving, not because you predicted every twist before it arrived. A lot of people figure starting small and imperfect is a recipe for failure, but real-world patterns say otherwise. When Marie Forleo ran that first workshop with only 5 attendees, 2 parents, a yoga teacher, and 2 others, she was embarrassed. Still, that small and sucky start gave her feedback, confidence, and momentum. Without it, the audience that now numbers in the millions wouldn't exist. The truth is, imperfect steps in public speed up your growth far more than perfect plans in private. You can make this work for you in very practical ways. One is breaking down big goals into manageable actions where you can see progress. Do one thing, then the next. Track what's happening so you can see the wins stack up. This keeps overwhelm small and keeps your vision focused on the step in front of you, not the climb in its entirety. And for those moments when your weakness feels like a liability, remember what Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 12:9. God's power is perfected in weakness. In plain terms, your limitation can be the exact place God chooses to grow you and your work. It's often where dependence, humility, and adaptability meet, and those are qualities that accelerate both spiritual and practical growth. Think about a seed in the soil. It's hidden and unimpressive at first, but it's quietly developing the strength to break through the surface. Your good enough start is like that, small on the outside, alive with potential inside. Judging it too soon misses what's being formed. This isn't about abandoning excellence. Excellence keeps you committed and learning, while perfectionism freezes you until flawless appears, which never does. When you start valuing progress instead, you clear the barrier that's been holding you still. So the real question becomes, how do you actually make good enough show up in the way you live every single day? It's in the everyday moments, not the grand breakthroughs, that you train yourself to move forward. That's why this is about building daily practices that keep progress automatic, even when perfectionist thoughts try to sneak back in. Perfectionism doesn't vanish just because you've decided to reject it. One offhand critique or a hard day, and it can push you right back into stalling. The way to stop that slide is to set up simple, repeatable actions you can do without overthinking. Consistency beats intensity here. There's one daily habit most people skip that would defeat perfectionism. Do you know what it is? It's starting smaller than feels worth it. Not write a book, but write for 10 minutes today. That's the start small and sucky mindset Marie Forleo swears by. Host the tiny workshop, post the 2-minute video, or send the short email instead of waiting to perfect the big thing. To keep that momentum, pair it with time boxing. Give yourself 1 hour to create a first draft, then stop, even if you see ways to polish it. Let it rest for 24 hours before you edit or refine. That pause keeps you from obsessing and helps you see the work more clearly later. From a faith perspective, you can anchor these habits in something deeper. Each morning, pray one sentence: Lord, give me courage to take one imperfect step today. At night, jot down a single line about something you're grateful for. These short spiritual practices shift your focus toward God's sufficiency instead of your self-critique, and they train your mind to notice progress over perfection. Your relationships matter here too. Growth happens faster when connection comes before correction. Having someone you trust to check in with and who encourages without judgment gives you the safety to admit the mess and keep moving. Choose one person you can report your small and sucky wins to each week. And when discouragement hits, remember kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The cracks aren't hidden, they're highlighted, making the piece more valuable than before. Your imperfect actions are like those gold seams. They don't erase the flaws. They show the beauty of persistence and grace through them. None of these steps are flashy. They're simple by design. 10 minutes, 60 minutes, one prayer, one line. Done daily, they build a rhythm where forward motion feels normal and perfectionism has less room to grow. Keep these habits close, because when you're in the rhythm of daily progress, it becomes clear what matters most next. And that clarity will make the next truth we're about to tackle even harder to ignore. The perfect time will never arrive. God works through your good enough right now, not some perfected version of you years from today. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is perfected in weakness. That means your imperfect obedience is exactly where his strength shows up. So here's your challenge. Within the next hour, do one imperfect thing. Spend 10 minutes starting or set a 1 hour cap and finish. Call, send, post, or pray, but move. Then share in the comments the one small thing you'll start today and add a prayer request if you'd like this community to lift you up. Stay blessed by the best, friends.